we will call the June 6, 2022 Management Services Meeting to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? We need to vote on that? Yeah, okay, all in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Are there any public comments? Seeing none. Maintenance Supervisor report.
I'll stand up back here to project a little bit. Oh, not a crazy busy month to report. Had a couple of inspections done. Otis did their quarterly elevator inspection for us. Getz did their jail kitchen inspection for it's like a pyrochem system over the stove in there. And that's something that I need to talk to people about if we're going to continue to go with IMH. I don't know if that's a done deal or not, or how that's working as far as inmate food. Because I don't know if I need to continue to have that jail kitchen recertified by them because it's virtually unused. So I need to look into that a little bit more because they have to come like 4 times a year to do this. That's what I thought. Okay. I do know there is a lot less being flushed down the toilets as far as because they get like a spork sent to them that they have to return, and those usually wound up flushed down the toilet. They always gave them apples, and 75% of the apples went down the drain. I know that's beside the point, but I didn't need to go off on that. I had to renew Centrica Smart Watt. When we originally did all that performance contract, we had a 3-year contract with them, a service contract for updates and service remotely from them. A couple of times a year, the computer system that runs it gets updated to a new, there might be a little glitch here or there in systems that they find, and they update that and correct it for me. I had to renew that, and I did it for 5 years. So it was 3 years or 5 years, and it was like a few $100 difference or something. But you'll see that on the claim sheet, and that's what that claim is about. Friedel Asphalt, I reached out to them. I spoke with Nate Hagmeyer over the weekend, and it looks like the parking lot over the courthouse, the jail, that south lot is going to get done sooner than later. He says they're kind of looking for work right now. It's really slow. At a first very small heat pump issue in several months. It was just a thermostat issue in the clerk's office. There's something screwy going on with it, and I have a new one ordered from Weber's, and I wasn't here Friday. I did the golf outing. It might be in now. I need to go check. Did anyone notice the floors as they came in? The floors got done over Memorial Day. Quite a difference. I can show you a couple pictures of when he was stripping it if you really want to see the difference. It really needed done. I'm glad we approved that. B&D did a little bit of work for me in the treasurer's office. They had a 3-way switch and another switch that was acting a little screwy, and I had them come in and put another switch as you go out so they can operate as they're leaving, and then they had a couple fan switches that they asked to be operated a little differently, and so they did that for me. And that is maintenance-wise, that's pretty much all I have to report. I wanted to ask you all if you had any thoughts, if any, on what we're going to do, if anything, with the fence, the old Head Start area. I mean, there's those, yards and yards of mulch and the chain link fence, so we're just going to leave that, which is fine. I'm curious. I mean, being summer now, if that's something we need to get taken care of. I was going to get the skid steer out. It's kind of cool to say I have a skid steer. I was going to get that out and take care of those garden beds, the raised gardens, and break those up, and then just sort of grade it out and throw a bunch of grass seed there and get that cleared out of there. And just, I don't know, once in a while I look at that fence, I don't know if there's plans for that, or if, what do you think? 10-4. And that's all I have to report, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Where are we at with the trees?
She reached out to me, sent me, I will read to you, a text last week. If you bear with me for a short minute here. Well, let me look for it, I will read it to you here in a little bit. But in a nutshell, she said I really need to find it, and I don't have her name in here, it's just a number. So if you let me look for this, I can read it to you here in a little bit, because there is a tentative date as to when Dolan's was going to come and put a couple trees in. It was this month as well, so let me sit here and look for it while we continue on, and then I'll pipe up here later in the meeting, if that's all right.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions for her? Okay, then we will move on to county farm management issues. Discussion and action on county farm tiling. Are we ready to take action, or are we still?
Yeah, I think we should. But let me back up a little bit. I spoke with Dave Johnson and Chris Shires, and as we know, we left at last meeting that Joda was not willing to pay for the main that crosses their 40. So, and speaking with Chris Shires, one of the ways that we could maybe work this is that they cover 10 or 15% of the cost of the tile that goes through their land based on the number of acres it would benefit. You know, I realize it's a small portion of acres compared to what the acres the county farm owns. So, I think we need to prepare ourselves in mind for covering the entire cost of it, maybe less 10 or 15% of the 40 acres. You know, we are kind of lucky in two respects. We would get permission to cross, which sometimes people could, and then the ditch is fairly close. So those are two good things. But I would like to see this committee vote to put it out for bid, just to see what kind of dollars we're talking about for the entire cost. As has been stated, we can always refuse it or not accept, whatever. But we're sort of in the dark as far as what it's going to cost.
Right, and it's hard to negotiate with them if we don't know costs.
Yes, yeah. I would like to make the motion to put it out for bid.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Any further discussion from anybody?
Explain to me again what the proposal is about the 10 to 15%.
Well, we're still in the negotiation with Joda, but on their part that they own, their only benefit would be about 10 to 15 acres, because their piece is kind of naturally drained, and so anyway, that they would be only responsible for 10-15% of the main. So and I think that may be our best hope, but I'm not even sure they'll even do that. So
Will you let us go across there?
yes,
We paid for it?
yes.
Why don't we put solid in?
Yeah, you mentioned that. I'm not sure it'll change the price that much.
Yeah, but no, but he might change his mind if he's not getting any benefit at all.
Right. Yes, I told them that this, I'm not ready to give up on this project, but it's kind of breathing its last gasp here. And, Wayne Lehman, I did the research back, and we've owned that parcel of land since 1857. Probably the tile was put in the 20s, you know, so it's 100 years old. I mean, everyone sees how we treat the county farm, and it's real important that we do our job and try to, you know, we kind of set the bar. We set the bar in cash rent with this county, and we, you know, and everybody sees it right on Route 1, you know, what's going on, and we really need to set an example, I think.
Well, I'm recalling that at the last full board meeting, state's attorney said, don't do that. And I understand the purpose of getting firm numbers.
Well, his concern was setting a precedent of us paying for tile going through someone else's property. This would be a cost sharing between them and us rather than them paying all of it. So it wouldn't necessarily set the precedent that we're paying for somebody else's tile.
Because this is sort of a hybrid situation.
Right, and they would be paying for what they would be benefiting is what you're negotiating for, right?
Proportionately.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not gonna say that the state's attorney's gonna say it's okay, but it is slightly different from what we were talking before.
Do you know, does anyone know how many other tiles on the farm, county farm, go through other people's property? Or we hook in?
Quite a few, and it's very, I mean, it's obviously very common. And it's, you know, as far as setting a precedent for, you know, paying to go through somebody's other, the precedent has already been set, that a lot of time, most times, you know, wherever it's possible, you go to the ditch, no matter, you know,
Right.
who pays. I mean, I could sit here, come back next month with multiple examples of, but, you know, I don't think I need to, but that people who want the drainage have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I think the precedent has already been set as far as, if you're talking about that.
Is there anybody that specializes in drainage law that the drainage districts go to?
Yeah, well, the law states that, you know, you can't impede the water of flow wherever it wants to go, you know. And we've already got a main through, so we do have, you know, some sort of legal right to maintain, you know, on Joda's land or replace. So, I mean, so I don't really think they would deny us permission, you know, to place. You know.
It's just more the payment, the dollars is not, the permission isn't the problem, it's the dollars.
Yes, yes. And there may yet to be negotiated if we have to do it when the crop is planted, we may have to compensate them somehow or another. So, but that's yet to be determined.
Do you know about how many feet across their land it is?
The whole distance from Route 1 to the ditch was 4,200, so it's probably about half, you know, maybe a little less than half. I don't have it, but I have a picture of it. I just kind of, I can show it to you. Yeah, the biggest share of it's on the county farmland, so maybe a third of it or so. Here's the fence line here. Here's the ditch. Here's Route 1, yeah.
So is this area, area that needs drainage?
No, I don't know what that is. It's all
It's-
farmed,
Different, so.
yeah. I think this is off of Google Maps or something, and Farm Works.
Okay. And I suppose it goes that way because of elevations.
It pretty much follows where the water flows when it floods when we get 4-inch rains, that's where the water flows. So, here again, I think it's important that we get this tile work done before we can fix this ditch that's been cutting over directly south of the county farm. Get that seeded down, that's the next thing, so. I'll pass this around if you haven't seen it already.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second, so, well, to put it out for bid. Well, I guess do a roll call vote on it.
Bowers,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes,
Aaron's.
Yes. All right. Was there any other county farm management issues? There's the bill for fertilizer came but too late for us to approve it, so it's gonna go to finance. It's $52,319.69, if anybody wants to know. If there's no other county farm management issues, we will get to the reason why the coroner is here. Where are we at with the building?
Got a set of construction documents. There's about eight or nine pages. I would say they're probably in the 85–90% complete category. The only thing I have to do is just send them out for pricing. It's just verify. Chris and I've met a couple of times, starting to get our arms around how that sanitary and storm works over there. I think the only way that we can fully document everything that there's, we have to dig a couple of test holes or do some probing or something to trace some of the lines down. We kind of know where they are, we just haven't evaluated the elevations and depths of all of the inverts that we have to tie into.
Is that something we need to know before we actually put it out for bid, or is that something that the contractor should do?
I think we can go ahead without verifying it. We're still gonna do a little more work on it as best we can, but I think we can forego that.
Okay.
Some people may not have been in all of the conversations that happened this last week. How do you want me to go through these page by page and let everybody know?
Well, I guess first thing, probably need the site for the coroner, that the coroner and the sheriff are okay with, is where at now?
It's on the south elevation of the jail. It's almost immediately to the south of the communications tower, a little bit west of the sheriff's garage. I'm gonna say 30 feet or so west. I couldn't put it where we had originally discussed putting it because there just wasn't enough room. By the time I get all of the building setbacks that are required by the fire code, there just wasn't any room there. And it was putting it underneath the existing high lines, so that wouldn't work. I've got a site plan here. Does anybody want to see where this is, exactly where it is, or how it lays out?
I'd like to see.
Yeah, it'd be,
I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
Okay.
we all just kind of gather over it so we can all see it.
One second here. Yeah. This is the sheriff's department jail. This is the sheriff's garage, and that's the new building. There's a water main, this is the parking lot on the south side, maintenance structures over here. So we're putting it about, we haven't precisely evaluated what that distance is gonna be. Some of these other issues with drainage are gonna probably dictate exactly where that goes. The only thing that we have to do in terms of demolition is remove the one tree. Some other landscaping, need to replace that. There's an existing lift station right there that appears to be, interrupt me in case I'm speaking wrongly, but this is a really deep lift station. Could be up in the 10 to 12 feet deep. That appears to be primarily stormwater off of tiles, off of the courthouse and the jail. They flow into that, picks up a lot of downspout water apparently. And this is a drain out of the sheriff's garage. Everything flows this way. We're of the belief that stormwater and any sanitary coming off of this is the holding tank. It's not literally the holding tank, but there is a fluid coming off of that into that storm. So we think that there's a combination storm. We don't believe there's two different mains there. There's not a sanitary main and there's not a storm main. Is that correct?
You mean as far as the pit that collects all the garbage out of the?
No, well, that just collects the garbage, but there's still a fluid that comes out of that.
Correct, that goes into our sanitary.
Right.
And
But
then,
then this also goes into that same sanitary, doesn't it?
no, this lift ejects way out here in this field.
Okay, I thought it went back over this way.
You know what, we didn't cover that because it was that stupid rain. We're trying to stay out there, we're hurrying up and it's like, but no, this lift station that, there's a tile that runs all
Right.
along this side, goes into there, it ejects, and you're correct, that thing's easily 10 foot deep. And it ejects through like a 2-inch pipe all the way out here into this field. And if you look out in that field, there's a small little like rock bed that was built over the years.
Okay.
And then, yeah, but the only question is the sheriff's garage drains go into this manhole. I'm assuming that connects right there to the sanitary, wouldn't you think?
Exactly.
It's kind of a
We think.
mystery, but
And when we don't know exactly what depth that is. We think it's gonna be underneath these foundations.
Yeah.
But here again, it's probably 40+ years old,
oh yeah,
maybe more.
the sheriff's garage, if I'm not mistaken, was built the same time as the jail, which you're looking at 1964, so.
So, and it's only a 6-inch, so it could be rerouted around. I'd be a little bit nervous putting it underneath. Anyway, that's the location. At this point, everything fits. We're gonna try and come out of the basement for electrical and for communications and run a conduit into the building from there. This is the floor slab, putting some foundation plan. This is a floor plan of the construction layout for mechanical and waterproof. Showing all of everything that's going in there, trench drain.
Is it only brick or?
No, it's ephes, it's an artificial stucco.
Okay.
That's the only, yes. That's the only thing that we could come up with that can somehow be in harmony with the other buildings around it and satisfy the city. This is just a door schedule, finish schedule, we'll go over the schedule and the whole things.
I mean, this layout is basically what it's been.
Nothing's changed. We've added window layouts and stuff like that, but, this is an interior elevation, exterior elevation. Instead of sheet metal, this PVC, protective on the bottom of the drywall is what we use in hospitals and commercial clean rooms and stuff like that. It's a little bit cheaper and it doesn't reflect noise like sheet metal does. I just got a color band on the bottom that varies separately from that. We'll try and come up with a color combination that blends with the jail and the garage. This is a roof framing plan. That's a single slope pitch to the back. Talked to the steel erectors Friday, and they agree that this is, we did this on the Chrysler garage when that roof caved in the back when we rebuilt it. So we're essentially repeating that type of system.
Is this a flat roof?
Slope,
Oh, okay.
probably half an inch to the foot, something like that. I wanna say it's 14 or 15 inches from front to back.
To the south.
Actually, I'm sloping it to the north. So that you don't see the roof from the parking lot side.
Oh, okay.
Everything's all on the back side.
And you don't wanna dump it on top of where you're driving it out either.
So there's essentially a parapet around three sides, just drains off of there, and then we'll find a way to get that into a storm drain or something. That's why we need to find out what's going where. And it is a fairly rare occasion from our conversation that one of those manholes on the north side actually blows out in a heavy rain. The stuff on the south doesn't appear to.
No, because all of the roof drains from the courthouse and jail only go to the north.
Okay.
And then from there, well,
So we probably wouldn't overtax the system
not at all.
with a small roof like that. This is just a section to the building. Everything is panelized or pre-engineered. Everything will come on site. On the flatbed, it'd probably be dry in 2 or 3 days. We're putting a little bit higher wind resistance in everything. We're using tie-down, hurricane tie-downs and everything. We're supposed to design it to, I believe it's 90-mile-an-hour winds. We're gonna be up a little over 100, I believe. This is just a layout for the HVAC. Got a small ceiling in the bathroom. That's the cooler and the freezer. These are interior elevations for the bathroom. This is the plumbing plan. This we envision just tying right into, I may have to jog this one way or another when we find out exactly where that sanitary goes. This is all of the bathroom equipment, plumbing schedule there. And then this is a lighting plan, switching layout. Specifications for all of that stuff. And then, this is a fire alarm plan, or smoke detectors and control for that. I think the only thing that I do not have in here yet, I'm gonna have a specification sheet that will have all of the specs for everything. Contractual, most of the contractual stuff is on the front cover. So it's getting fairly close to being able to send out. Now, just so I know how this is to proceed, does this committee approve it, or do you have to have approval from the full board to send it out for
We approve it, send it to full board for final approval.
Even to send out for pricing?
Everything has to go through the final.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, the only time it wouldn't would be if there was for some emergency situation, but even then. eventually needs to go to the board.
I'm probably gonna have some questions, just on procedure and stuff like that. It's not a very extensive set of questions at this point, and it's still evolving. That's why it's not 100% right now.
Well, basically, we need something that can be put in the packet, in the bid packet, so that when contractors come and pick it up, they have something to bid off of.
Oh,
Is this good enough to do that?
yes. Well, once we tidy it up this week and put the rest of this information together. I haven't had a chance to proofread it, and I had to have it printed last week. The printer was gonna be gone, so I didn't get it printed until Thursday. And I've done some more work on it since then. I actually got the spec sheet done, but it's not in.
Is it still the same size building?
Yes.
And did you say the roof would be steel? You said-
Yes. It's a wood deck on top of a wood truss, but then we're isolating that steel so there's no condensation underneath it. But we've been using a 24 gauge. It can either be painted or a galvanized. I'm probably inclined to go to a painted, just it would blend a little bit better with everything there.
If you think that this can be tidied up, as you say, ready to go out for bid a week from tomorrow, the committee can make a motion today to do that, provided that that's done, and then the board can vote on it next Tuesday.
I think,
Otherwise, we have another gap of a month.
exactly.
Then that, one more month, that puts us hard to get done by the end of the year.
That's why I rushed to get this to this point.
Well, any questions on this, or go back to Sid?
One of the process questions is, you guys were handling the pickup and delivery of drawings. Do you still want to keep it that way, like you had before in your original? Or running it through Jill, I think is what you had on your sheets?
You mean this,
Right. The packets.
the packets need to
There's,
go,
there's going to be a set of bid instructions.
right,
There's going to be, the drawings naturally. There's usually 2 or 3 other components, the legal advertisement for bid. I hesitate to say precisely because after the full board approves it, it's supposed to go out to bid. And it's no less than 14 and no more than 30, I believe, is the requirement. So we need to pick a paper that's gonna go into and kind of have that
well,
in the days.
they do bids all the time, so they know where all that needs to go.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Do you want me to put that together,
No,
hand it over to Jill, and then,
Jill,
Amanda's the one that.
Amanda.
oh, okay,
You don't need, all you need is basically the plans and bid tech. You'll take care of all the advertising.
Right.
Yeah.
then who manages all of the calls and questions?
Well, I guess,
That's exactly what I mean.
well, and I guess we'll have to get with the coroner on that.
No,
You don't wanna be bothered with all the calls.
Especially if I don't know the answers.
Right.
well, that's exactly the problem. The questions you're going to get will probably be fairly technical. What I have I ask that everything be in writing. It can be an email, but it has to be in writing, it can't be verbal. So you shouldn't get any telephone calls, but I know you will.
Mhm.
So you'll, at the very least, you'll get email requests. And then we give ourselves, I believe 7 days is what we normally put in there. 7 days to respond to that And then from that, usually about another 5 to 7 days to complete the bid package.
So then maybe you can just take a look at the normal legal description that I put in the paper, and we can make some alterations to it.
Okay.
Just to,
I'll show you mine too.
yeah, that's fine.
So,
Because what we put in the paper is pretty basic, since we're charged by word. And then what we put on the website is a lot more extensive.
First point of contact, if they have
I'm trying to keep
Would not job.
Right. Yes.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Don't mind at all.
I know you don't wanna have to make the decision, but
No, but.
because you'll be the one in the vicinity that they can say, hey, Chris, we need to know about this.
Yep.
And it might be something that you could say, oh, well, yeah, this goes here.
Well, what I usually do is have a site meeting, a pre-bid site meeting with all of the contractors, and they can't submit a bid unless they've been at that site meeting. So that usually separates the wheat from the chaff.
And that can kind of eliminate those companies out in Seattle that are calling in, things like that.
Are the walls what Lyle talked about in one of our meetings, the insulated prefab walls?
It's not no, it's a short answer. There's two different types of those walls. There's one that's called a SIP, which is a structural insulated panel, which is a sandwich with OSB. This is like that, only it's not fused together with foam. This is, we're using a blown-in cellulose because it's cheaper. The SIP panel is probably, it could almost be 2 or 3 times what these things cost. And it's the same R value, or very close to the same R value. This will end up with something like, I believe it's close to an I don't want to speak out of turn, like R28 or 30 with that insulated stucco on the outside. And the roof is like an R40.
So we've designed it looking to the future with, energy savings.
Yes. And this can be a very tight building. The only air leakage that this thing will have would probably be around the overhead door. There's not really any way to keep that sealed tight, but you know, the new gaskets and seals and everything that we're using on the overhead doors, and it's a very efficient overhead door. So it's a 2.5-inch thick door, so.
Well, it's on.
The other thing that I'm probably going to request in there as an alternate is the in-floor heat. And get pricing on that so that we can evaluate that when it comes in. That usually ends up being considerably cheaper in the long run than maintenance and everything. And the overall building costs, maintenance costs. Does that help?
You wanna run back and look at the plans, we were just going over them.
I'll split it.
Do we have any other questions on the corner building? As far as,
Just gonna be paid for, but with ARPA money?
that is the
Tentative.
tentative, yes. I think they've set some funds aside for it, but I do not know that for sure.
That's my understanding, is they said
Yeah.
funds aside for this, yes.
Yes,
I'd like to make the motion to put out for bid for the building construction of the Iroquois County morgue, once the final details are included in the bid package.
I'll second that.
Okay.
do we need to
Do a roll call.
just, yeah,
Mhm.
whenever you're ready?
Bowers,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes?
Barons.
Yes.
Paul. Is Paul part of the meeting now?
Paul is part of the meeting.
Okay.
Paul?
1 minute, please, can I?
Okay. So is ARPA after this?
Yeah, it starts at
Yes.
10.
Was that a yes to the, Paul? That was a yes to the vote?
Yes.
Okay.
We lost.
Okay. Animal control building, have we gotten anywhere on that? No. Okay.
Been focusing on the Coroners building.
Um,
And once I think that goes out for bid, we can turn focus.
Okay.
I didn't hear you, Jill. What?
I said, the focus has been on the Coroners building, so I think once that gets out for bid, then maybe we can focus back on the animal control building.
Oh, okay.
And Chris, were you able to figure out any of the, I know I'd asked you to get it marked or located for utilities up on the, was that,
Yep, it's all been done.
okay. Now, we're looking at that site there, and now without the coroner's building attached, we're also looking back just on the west side of this building. So any thoughts on those locations?
On the west side of this building, out in the grass?
Yeah.
Straight out?
Yeah, it
And start?
yeah, so it'd be facing there, and if it goes there, it would either be in line with the building or bumped out to be in line with the other to kind of match one way or the other. That's
You
option.
said facing there.
Facing, the entry would face south, yes.
And it would be connected with a hallway or something?
No. We thought about that, but I think that becomes problematic with,
Fire.
well, trying to tie into this building gets to be problematic.
Yeah.
So that means there would be, I don't know if it's a 5-foot or a 10-foot. What's the setback if we put it next to this building? How much room do we need between them?
Which building are we talking about, the morgue?
No, we're talking about the, animal control.
Animal control, it should be 20 feet.
It would be 20 feet. In that area, the kennels could be there, it just can't be a permanent structure.
Correct.
So it would be 20 foot away, 20 foot between the buildings because of fire setbacks and stuff. Which is one reason over there where it ended up where it is, because you have all your setbacks from the other buildings. No.
It depends on the building type in both buildings. I'm not sure what this is classified as, but that starts dictating those dimensions.
Yeah.
Those setbacks.
So those are the options we're looking at. If you got any other ideas, we'll probably try to move forward next month with them. So gives you a month to think about it. If there's nothing else on that, we will go to reschedule July management meeting, because I don't think any of you want to be here on the 4th. So I was looking at Wednesday at 2 o'clock is what we usually do.
1 or 2.
1, is it 1 that we
Usually do
usually do? Okay, 1 o'clock,
What's that, 7-6?
The 6th.
yeah.
What do you think about doing?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I know it's 2 different committees, but what about ARPA?
What's your thoughts on,
It's on our agenda for ARPA.
we can do it earlier today, maybe? We'll talk about ARPA.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 1 o'clock for management.
That gets us done in time to go to judicial. So, because Amanda can't be in two places at once.
July 6th.
1 o'clock?
Yes. Hey. Everybody should have got the claims sent to them. Is there a motion to approve the claims? Is there a second?
Yeah. I got questions.
You have questions?
One, I saw a large amount of money to AT&T. Is that the last one?
Hopefully that would be the last one. We're working out some details with the lines that are connected with 911. And Eric is looking to go to, internet services as well. So
Okay.
we didn't realize that some of the 911 lines were tied into that package. And we can't just cancel it. So, I'm working on it.
But they should be able to separate them out.
Yeah, and that's what we're working on. It's just been
Yes, I know
process.
there,
We've had 3 different AT&T representatives since we started the process. So.
that's typical. So, okay. Any other questions on the claims? Go ahead and do the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Ducat,
Yes.
Barron's.
Yes. Is there any old business? Yes,
So it looks like phones will be coming June 8th,
June 8th.
so tomorrow.
Oh, yay.
So
So,
Wednesday.
they said Wednesday.
what's today?
The 6th.
Oh, sorry.
So you might want to put some flags where they're supposed to go or something, so they,
Yeah, I'll be available, I'll be over there.
okay. Any other old business? New business? Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.